watercoloring together. And I thought that I would take a little bit of time tonight. I've been doing some cards and some coloring today, and I wanted to share it with you. So if you're watching us on Facebook, awesome. We're glad that you're here. If you are not watching us on Facebook, then you will be you're in the classroom. And if you're in the classroom, the benefit of coming to the classroom link, which I post every time that I announce a class, it's free, but the classroom link lets you chat with other students, lets you chat with me, and it's a little more interactive. Facebook just kind of lets you watch, which is awesome too. So welcome, welcome. Tonight I'm going to be using the Best Birds stamp set, and that's the card that you saw me post. I'm just going to look for the original card, and I don't have it. I did it a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. We have been feeding the birds, and usually we stop in the summer, but we've been feeding them all summer because my front yard looks like Snow White's cabin, and I love it. Cottage in the woods. I have a bunny that comes and some squirrels. The squirrels are a little weird, but they stay down low. Chipmunks. It's really, and the birds, of course. So anyway, when I saw this, I thought, oh, this is really cute. I'm going to try it. So when you get this stamp set, it also has, it's a bundle, and you look in the supply list, you'll see the bundle comes with the die cuts that work with it. So these are the dies of the birds. And I was all excited, and I got all ready, and I stamped them out, and then I thought, I wonder what the bird looks like. So I thought, well, that might be your problem too. So I grabbed some inspiration. I just searched under images on Google, and I got a robin, a cardinal, a chickadee, and a golden finch. Now these are Vermont birds. These are the birds in my yard. If you live in another part of the country, they may not be the birds that you have. So you might want to look for your birds. And now you're thinking, well, the cardinal has kind of a little bit of a different body. It does, but you can kind of get away with it. So let me show you a couple that I did this afternoon. So first, here's my chickadee that I did. And if you look at my inspiration, you can see, you know, he's pretty good. I was really happy with the way he came out. And then I tried the cardinal. Now this is not stamped. This is just the die cut. But there's the cardinal. Now you can see that he doesn't quite have that little tuft that you would like at the top, but you would still know it was a cardinal if you put it down. And you could add a little piece to that if you wanted to. And he's from this die. No stamp, just the die. And he cuts out, and I left these pieces in here. He cuts out with these little holes. So when you put him on a darker card, he looks pretty cool. He's a little fat to be a cardinal, but sometimes they get puffy in my yard, especially if they don't like that the bunny's around. So anyway, that's one option. So tonight I thought I would color, and I have another blank bird. This is a different one. This is a different stamp. Where is he? Oh, it is this guy. It's that guy. He's different. He's facing the other way from the chickadee. So I'm going to do this one as a robin. Okay? All right, so there's my inspiration. I'm not going to go through the whole stamping. We've done that in other classes, and I'm going to do another watercolor this week. But this is using the Stampin' Up! Watercolor paper. It's using the Archival Basic Gray. I picked this, and if you look in the handout that I gave you, it also shows you a stamp stamped in Basic Gray and a stamp in black. It makes the outlines not quite so bold, not quite so color booking looking. Okay? All right. And these are my stamps that I used. I also stamped a bunch of the flowers and the branch, so we'll work on those too, but I just wanted to I'm going to stop. You're not going to see me, but I'm still here because sometimes I duck my head under and I look silly, so when I'm coloring. All right, so I'm using my watercolor pencils. Remember, they come in a box like this, but they fit really, really well in one of the blank stamp holders. I didn't put those on the supply list, but I'll pop those in Facebook under the link and under the YouTube as well. They're not in the catalog. So if you're looking for those, they're not. You need the item number. They are online. So I will drop that for you. But what's great is you can put your pencils, you can put your Wink of Stella. Now, if you didn't know what this is, and I didn't when I was first told about it, Wink of Stella adds just a little bit of glitter. And if you look at this chickadee, wait a minute, maybe I can get it so you can see it. I used it on his head and on the wings down here just to give him a little bit of shine. Oh, there he is. There's where Wink of Stella is. It's really subtle. It's not like Stickles or any of the really big glitter. It's subtle, but it makes him look shiny. The other piece that I added to him is I used my Stampin' Up! Marker in the basic black to get his eye, because watercolors get dark, but not quite as distinct as the eye did. And I needed his eye to show up, especially where he has black feathers. Okay? So that's what I used other than my watercolors. Oops, nope, my blender pen. You're going to see how cool this is. So first thing we're going to do is kind of clear our space, make some room. You don't really have to use your stamping pad. You do need this to stamp on if you're using your clear acrylics or you need something. This works really well because the clear stamps don't have any foam behind them. And when you're stamping, it works much better to stamp it on the pad. This is a piercing pad. Works great. I use it all the time. Okay, so here's my robin. Let's bring him in. Let me do this so that you don't get distracted and you just see the robin. Okay? So he's going to need the red breast. He needs gray and a dark head. So I'm going to start with my red, but he's not like red like the cardinal. He's kind of red and orange. So I'm going to do a little blending. What's awesome about the watercolors is they're really forgiving. They really are. It's not as tough as some of the markers, the Copics or the Spectrum Noirs or some of the other markers that you have to have every single color to get everything that you want. This works really well. Apparently the Shih Tzu wants to leave, so hold on just a sec and we'll let her out. Bye, Belle. See you later. They act like they want to come here, and then they decide once I get started, nope, they don't want to stay. I'm going to use the black for the head and then the gray for the body. But I'm going to start his head. Now, this guy doesn't have quite as distinct a body shape as a robin, but once we get him colored, he's going to be pretty good. Notice this robin, though, has a little bit of white around the eye, so I'm going to leave that to start with. And I'm just going to color it in, but I'm going to circle around so I leave that white. And I don't have to get real, it's not heavy-handed. And I'm going to come down a little. You can see it's down under his beak. He's a little black. And the more you color, the darker it gets, right? You don't want to go outside the lines. And you want to just lay down some color. And now you're thinking, that doesn't look very good. It doesn't. Wait till we get going. It doesn't look that good to start with, but it will get really cool in a minute. All right, so there's that. Notice it blends into the gray up here. So I'm going to go to gray next, and I may have to do a little blending to get it in, but right now I'm just going to kind of back and forth and lay down the gray. I'm definitely going to come back to this and do a little more. And you can see he kind of looks like he has like almost a triangle in here of the gray. And it's all the way out to his tail. But But now under his belly, I'm going to go a little heavier with my black up here. And under the back part of his tail is a really, really light gray. I'm not really going to put much down. I'm going to put a little bit of white down here, and my blender is going to bring in the gray. So basically, it's almost like a color by number, you know, and you just start putting your colors down. Now I'm going to do a light, light orange because he's a lighter orange up here. I know we call it robin redbreast, but he's really kind of orangey. So I want the orange in here. And then I'm going to go over it with the red. Not so much up there. I want red more down here. Also, in other classes, we've talked about your light source. And that always is the scariest part for people. The light source is, where's the light coming from? And the reason that's important when you're coloring is because it looks more real. So I'm assuming the sun is above this robin. So this part under his belly is going to be a little bit darker, just like in this picture. This is darker down here, not necessarily a darker color. And if he was turned around and had his belly in the sun, this might be the same color as here, but it's got a shadow on it because he's on the ground. All right, so now I kind of have all my colors laid down. Might need a little gray on his legs, which they already have the gray ink, but I want to do a little watercolor pencil over it. A couple other things that you'll notice if you're looking online, a lot of the watercolor that you're seeing isn't really watercoloring with a pencil. A lot of people use the watercolor paper, an aqua painter, which I'll show you. We've also used those two in class, but not tonight. The aqua painter is pretty cool. They look like this, and they're full of water. You fill them up with water, and they have a brush on the tip. And what these do is they give you a more watercolor painted look than watercolor coloring that we're doing right now. Okay, so now I have to think about, what am I blending into what? My black is the darkest. I want that to be the last color that I work on, even though I put it down first. I want that to be the last one that I work on. This is your blender pen. It has two tips on it, and you can see they have color in them. If you're worried before you start doing something, I left this one dirty so I could show you. You're going to just wipe it on the paper, and eventually you will see that it gets clear. You can also put a little water on it. You can also use your Stampin' Scrub if it's really dark, and your spray mist. Kind of wet it up a little. And clean your brush. And then just okay. If you do that when you're finished, you will have a clean one to start with. I normally do it when I'm done. I just wanted you to see what this would look like if it were dirty. All right, so now I'm going to start blending with my blender brush, and you can see how the colors get. Let me come in a little closer for you. You can see how the colors get pretty vibrant. If you get close, right? And if I come into the darker color and drag it up, you can see now there isn't really a distinct line between the colors anymore. And that's the blender pen doing all that magic work. Okay, so I have to be careful not to drag the black into here too much. If I want to add a darker color, I can come back and do it. But if I have to be careful not to drag this black down here. Now I'm going to wipe this off because I don't want the orange to go into my gray, and I'm going to start the same direction, a little bit into the white, and start working my way up here. Notice how it's putting all my colors together. And it dries even better than it looks right at the first. Right? And you drag some of this in. And he looks pretty much like a robin. You might need a little bit more in here. So now if you think, oh, I really need some more color, it's going to be hard to color over this guy because he might be a little damp from the blender pen. It's hard to color over it. So another way, if I wanted a little darker gray back here, I can take my gray pencil and I can lay down some color here. And then take my blender pen and pick up the gray. See, I'm picking it up, and then bring it up here and lay it down here. If I think, well, you know, I need even a little more black, I can take the black and do the same thing. Lay down a little black, pick it up. See my brush. Can you color into the blender pen with a pencil? You mean like after I've already done it? Like, could I bring this in and color over it? Like, could I color on the bird, you mean, to add more color, like to just go over this? Sure. The only thing that you have to be careful is if it's wet. You might have to wait a little. You might have to be patient. And your heat tool can be added too. So if you're impatient and you don't want to wait, you could do that. Yep, but you can go back and color a little more. You can. Okay? And then go back over it and blend. This is another one of those skills that practice makes perfect. The more you practice, the better you get. You don't want to go too much. You mean put the blender pen onto the colored pencil. So like to pick up some of the color here, like that. Is that what you mean? Just to get a little color. Let me clean my pencil off, or my blender off. You do pick up some, Debbie. Yeah, you do. Yep. So yes, you could do that. Okay. All right, so everything looks pretty good. I'm happy with my robin. I don't want to do much more with him. You can almost do too much. If you want to get a little bit of highlights in here where these are, you can just, because your brush has a little, you can add your kind of speckles to him. And then I'm going to bring in my Wink of Stella, and I have to decide, where do I want it? I'm going to do it on the black because I want the top of his head to be shiny rather than his belly. You could do the whole thing. Now you're looking at it thinking, well, that looks like it washed it out. It does, but when it dries, it'll be okay. And then the one more thing I'm going to add to this guy is, ignore that. Sorry, I don't know who that is. No one's calling right now. They're not allowed to call. I'm going to take my little marker and I'm going to go over my eye. And I don't have a good distinct line on the beak, and I just want that kind of detail. So now he's good. I'm happy. I like him. I'm ready for him. I'm going to use my big shot and cut him out. So let's move some stuff so we can bring the big shot in. Doesn't it? I think that too. I think the black, which is just a touch of that marker, just really pops him out, so you can really see him so much better. And then you're going to make sure that you have the right die. I'm using my magnetic plate, which is going to help hold him in place. And it looks like he's going to cut his feet off, but it's really not. Pop that on there. I'll move my arm in a minute. Absolutely, Debbie. Let's try it and see if we can get just a dot. Debbie wants us to add Wink of Stella. Those of you, I'm sorry, the people that are watching on Facebook don't get to see the chat. So they think I'm just randomly talking to myself here. That's why I want you to come into the classroom. You get so much more when you come in here. You know that we're not talking to ourselves. Okay, so there's our guy. And I don't know. Let's zoom it down in and see. Oh, sorry. Stop wiggling, stop wiggling. And I don't know if I can get just a dot. I did. I don't know if it's going to show. Oh, it's hard when it's zoomed in this tight. To get the glimmer. Come on, how did I get it before? There it is. Right? So there he is. So the sketch that I used, right? It's really pretty basic, but today I'm just using cardstock actually. So I've got the cardstock set up, and I have my branch. Now if the branch goes too long to do a vertical, so you're going to want to go this way to put your branch on. And it can go really simple. The birds kind of take the longest, but the branch can go super easy because it's not, you're just going to lay down some browns. And then a little bit of gray. And then your green. And you can see that you don't have to be like super fussy because you're going to blend this all in when you're done. But it just, and this is the kind of thing that I like to stamp a bunch of things like this. And then while I'm watching TV or sitting out in the sun, talking on the phone, instead of doodling, I do these kinds of things. This has the flowers too that we're going to add to these branches. And these all have dies that go with them as well. And maybe a little bit of pink. And again, you just want to put a little bit of color in, so you don't want to get too carried away because you're going to blend this. And by putting the dark color in the center, it will look far more realistic than all one color. So I'm going to do all this first. And then Okay, now I'm going to grab my Wink of Stella. And I'm just going to blend out my flower. See how cool that is? And it is incredibly forgiving. And it's so much easier than using the markers, the Copics, and you get a different look. It's not as vibrant as a Copic colored image. It's not. I tend to really like the look of the watercolor though. I think it's really cool. Now, if you want a little more detail, you want to come back in, you just can bring in more color. The markers are really a great addition to it. You can buy those. You can buy the whole set of markers, or you can buy smaller sets to give it a try. But you can use those to add your vibrancy to it. So let's say I wanted those berries to be really red. If I use this, I'm going to get, this is pretty much as red as I'm going to get, right? All right, let me just grab the marker so that you can see the difference. And I have the full set. I will tell you it's an investment. They're expensive. So if you have an opportunity to put through a bunch of different orders, or you've got some coupons that you've built up from the July days, you can get $5 off them, and it's a good time. But here's the red marker. And I don't know what you think. If you think it's more, less, you don't like it as well, you can also blend with those. See it? Sorry. Goodness. I think there might be a baby on the way. That's my sister. There we go. Whoops, I almost did the wrong thing. Then take your blender and come in and get your leaves going. Alrighty. And then you're going to do the same thing. I am going to go spend some more time really getting my colors going the way I want it. I'll put this card together later and show it to you. But as you can see, we've got our robin and our branch. So he's going to go like this. And then my branch, I'm going to add the flowers to. Okay? And then I have room for my sentiment too. All right, practice your coloring. It is really fun. And it is really relaxing. It's a great opportunity to just color, and you can really, make sure that you look something up if you don't know what it should look like. I also, on the website, on the blog, I put a picture of a pig because I'm going to color the pig too, but you'll see that one tomorrow. I'm going to make this pig be a holiday card on Tuesday night. So if you want to come back on Tuesday, we will be coloring some more, and we're going to make him be a holiday pig. So I will see you all soon. Have a great weekend, and I can't wait to see what you color. Bye-bye.